Welcome back, Squash, to the Lucky Die. Previously, Squash refuses to speak the truth to a friend. After Daichin's treachery, Squash found it difficult to trust, choosing to run and hide from his problems instead. However, since trying to get clean and the recent brush with death, Squash has decided to right a few wrongs in his life and confront his failures of the past head-on. Will the family of the Smurf Bear Flynn he abandoned forgive him? What changes has Empty Shallows undergone? And are his parents truly dead? I guess you're about to find out. Welcome back to the Lucky Die. After your trip through the stalking, you find yourself in exactly the same spot as when you last looked at Empty Shallows all those years ago when Daichin and yourself left. It's dark now, though. The sun has gone down. There are some lights still in the village. And that's where you find yourself. Oh, and Demi's obviously standing next to you, because that would make sense.
Yes, I assumed so. I think Squash kind of just like guiltily looks over to Demi, and like, so, right here in 4 days? 72 hours?
No, 4 days is 96.
I never learned math. I'm gonna use that excuse. Me, Squash, never learned math.
No, please don't put this in canon. Squash knows math. He knows how to steal stuff. He knows what things are worth.
Goddammit, you're right. 96 hours.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if I come and get you in 96 hours, then I can pick you up, and then we can go back, and then I can recharge, and then I could go pick everyone else up. I mean...
no, if you can give me more time, that's... better. I have to probably travel for about a day to get to my location later. I think. It's been a while since I was in the Earth Dark.
No, I'll see you in 96 hours.
96 hours it is. Yeah.
She kind of like looks at the town, looks at the village, looks at you, looks at the village, and doesn't mention a conversation they had about Empty Shallows, and just shrugs her shoulders and walks away. You feel like a surge of magic around you, and everything is emptiness.
Be careful. All right. Damn it, Squash. All right.
As a recap for anyone who doesn't remember what Empty Shallows looked like, because it was some episodes ago that we were here.
About 70.
About 70 episodes, maybe 80. You can see the waterfall in the east. It's a single large waterfall, and it flows down into a river which kind of cuts nicely through this valley. Not that you can really see that, but you can hear the rushing of water at least. There are some trees dotted around the edge of this which manage to hide it from most of the rest of the world. It's very difficult to find unless you know it's here or you accidentally stumble upon it. But the trees seem a bit thinner than you remember them. There are also a lot more lights here than you remember ever being at night. Most of the time people will just go to bed and move on, but there is lots of lights, and as you kind of stare and look at it with your 26th perception, you notice that a lot of them are moving. There's lots of movement going on, even though it's pretty late at night. You can see the houses in some of the silhouettes up on stilts. You can see the big meeting hall in the middle of the village itself, and that is very well lit up. It's very obvious. You can also see that there are some new silhouettes that you aren't used to, new buildings. Some buildings have been taken down, that kind of thing. You just find yourself overlooking your town at night.
Squash just kind of takes in Empty Shallows, a place he hasn't been to in about 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he just slowly starts moving forward, but it is with very hesitant steps. He knows that every step he takes him one step closer to confirming his parents' death, and he doesn't want that. He always believed he would come home before it was too late.
Well, you make your way forward slowly, hesitantly, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
You make your way down to the town. Your home was always on the edge. And as you approach the place where it still is, you notice that it's surrounded in torches, in lights. As you approach closer to it, you notice that there's nothing moving inside, but it is lit in there.
Are any of the other houses similarly lit?
No.
Oh, has somebody already moved in? Oh, no. Squash is gonna walk the perimeter of the garden. Since his family was new to the town, they would not have had a family graveyard yet. But Squash is eyeing the garden for a possible gravestone or a grave, and a kind of marker for his parents.
As you walk around the perimeter of the garden, let's say for ease, the garden was hidden as you walked down. You had to walk around the building. You see the garden. It's well maintained and well looked after, probably better than you remember it, but then you were only a kid when you left. In the very center of this garden, there is a statue. The statue is of a female halfling holding a baby boy. Standing next to this woman crouching, kneeling down next to this woman, looking at her with a smile, is the figure of a half-dwarven man. You recognize Dachin's features in the statue. You recognize your mother's features in this statue. And you recognize from very, very, very long ago your features in the baby boy.
Sorry, did you say half elf or half dwarf?
Half elf.
You said half dwarf, I swear to Christ.
Okay, well, you recognize Dachin's features.
Okay.
And he is a half elf.
Squash kind of caring less, kind of just, I'm assuming it has just like a simple fence meant to divvy out where the garden ends.
Yeah, it's fairly small. You could definitely hop it. It's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
This place is pretty well lit, some magically, some not.
Yeah, Squash kind of just absent-mindedly climbs the fence and starts heading towards the statue.
You hear off in the distance you hear a person making their way towards the house along the kind of small road that's leading here. It's a little distance off. As you jump into the garden, you see flowers and herbs. You see what you now know to be herbs and flowers used in potion making, as material components for spells. Some very powerful ones. And as you get closer, this statue is very well made. This is definitely your mother, but much, much older. It's maybe a couple of years old, judging by the weathering.
Squash looks for any kind of plaque, anything to read, anything that would tell him why this travesty was built in this garden.
Yes, the sign is underneath, and it has Antonia, which is your mother's name.
Mm-hmm.
It has Don, which is your name, and it has Dachin's name there also. And it's in memory of Antonia and Don, those who brought us to Dachin's light.
That son of a bitch. That son of a bitch. Did he not take enough? Of course not, of course not.
You hear the opening of the gate.
Squash, takes a deep breath before he turns around to see who's heading towards him.
There is a young halfling girl. I say young girl. There is a young halfling woman standing in front of you, and she smiles at you, and she says, "Oh, hello. Welcome to Empty Shallows. You're not here to steal anything, are you?"
No, I'm not here to take anything away from you. I'm actually from here. I left a long time ago. Don't worry about it. Sorry, is this your garden?
No, this is the garden dedicated to Antonia. Yeah, this garden and the whole house is dedicated to Antonia.
Oh, that's really nice. I knew her back in the day.
Oh, you did? Were you family from when she came from the other village or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet. I'm so glad that you came here. Yeah, this is Antonia. Do you know much about her?
Oh, only what I remember from when I was a kid. Back when I knew her.
Well, do you want me to fill you in on what happened to her? Do you want me to tell you about the glory? She kind of smiles and tips her head a little bit. She has kind of that dark, dirty blonde hair. She kind of flicks it back a little bit, and she seems to get herself into guide mode, one might say.
You said she was young. How young are you saying?
She's probably early 20s.
Okay. We're not talking about a 13-year-old.
Yeah, she's not a kid. No,
yeah.
She's just a young woman. I misspoke.
No, just clarifying.
Yeah. She kind of takes a couple of steps next to you, and she says, "So this is Antonia. As you know, probably. She was brought here when Pestilence had a bit of a divide. She was pregnant at the time when she was infested with were-ratism. Don't worry, we're all cured now. Don't you worry about that. Don't worry." And she kind of taps you on the shoulder. She was pregnant at the time, and she had a child with her husband. This is the boy here. His name was Don. They tried everything they could to try and cure him. They sought out priests, and they sought out all sorts of people to try and help them. Great wizards. One great wizard named Dachin here, and she points at the half-elf. He spent many years trying to help them out. And one day he arrived and said, could he please borrow Dunn to do something after we'd cured him? Well, partially cured him. He thought he had properly cured him. And then one day Dachin came back, and he said, well, he told us that because of the magic that's here in Empty Shallows, that were-ratism, it kind of mutated, and it started doing stuff to poor Don here, and it killed him. But that Don had begged him on his deathbed, poor little mate, to save his family, to go back home and save his mother and his father, to go back and save the village, to save Empty Shallows from this. And Dachin promised that little lad, and he delivered. He came back and he cured everyone. Well, I say everyone. There's a reason why Antonia's husband isn't here, why his name has been stricken from the records. He refused to take it. He languished in guilt and in sorrow over the death of Don, and he didn't believe Dachin's word. Well, he didn't take the cure, and he died. Just like many others in the village who didn't believe Dachin. But those of us that did, or of our parents that did, at least anyway, they were saved. And that's why this is here. to remind us that because of what Don went through and the thing that his mother went through, that Daichin is in our lives and he's helped us out and we're all cured. And she kind of like smiles.
So Daichin saved everybody.
Yep.
Even Antonia.
Cure. She took it. She took the cure and her husband didn't. And yeah, he died because he didn't believe and she lived because she did.
Oh. Where is she now?
Well, she passed away a couple of years ago.
Uh-huh.
But don't worry, she did a great many things afterwards. She worked closely with Daichin to spread the cure around to the rest of the pestilence tribe. She assisted in some of the things that he did. And much, much later when he came to us talking of this, of the thing that we now believe in, the blissful eclipse, she helped to spread that word. But it was shortly after that she passed away. She just didn't wake up one day. You know, these things happen old age.
Squash is, just literally frozen at that moment. I think his eyes are, locked with the face of Daichin in the statue. As he contemplates what he's just heard, tries to absorb it.
Do you want some water or something? Why don't you come sit down? You look a little bit shocked. I'm sorry. I think I just kind of overloaded you all at once. I'm so sorry, my love. She kind of puts her arm around your shoulder and kind of tries to guide you to one of the many benches that are in this garden.
Yeah. Once she starts moving Squash, his eyes immediately lock with the ground, and he lets her guide him somewhere. When he sits down, he's like, what happened to the home?
Oh, well, after Antonia died, after everything she did for us, for putting us on the right path, for helping us get cured, for helping Daichin out, we decided to make this place a way so that we can never forget her. We can't ever forget Antonia, and we can't forget Don. The good things that Daichin has done to us.
Mm-hmm. Can I enter the house? Is that part of the whole thing?
Of course you can. Everything here in Antonia's home is open to everyone. Just, we please you don't ask some of the pictures. Don't touch some of the pictures. Don't try and move too much. But of course you can go right in. Have you got somewhere to stay tonight? I mean, no offense by the look of you. You look like you had a long trip to get here.
Squash kind of looks down at himself, probably still a little bit scuffed after the fight with Glengareth, and just it's not been easy getting here. No, it's been a very long trip. Yes, I would very much appreciate a place to stay. Thank you.
Well, in the main meeting hall, if you kind of pop your head out, you'll see a big-ish looking building, and it's all lit up by torches and whatnot. If you just head over in that direction, I'll make sure that they've got a bed for you.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. What's your name, so I know to let them know to expect you?
There's a definite hesitation as Squash racks his head for a name. And oh, god damn it! What was Palace's fake name again?
Oh no! Okay, let me just go take it out. This is too funny.
I was thinking my father's name, but I think Squash does not want to invoke that right now.
Was it Christopher Cantemir?
I think that I think that might have been the fake name they used in the lodge. It might have been the
GDC.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the GDC. You're so good at noticing when I'm fucking that one up. I think that's the one they used at GDC.
Yeah, I think it's that one.
Yeah. Oh, my name Excuse me. I'm Christopher Kentamere.
Make a deception roll.
Oh, boy.
That was real bad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a 15.
Ah, okay. She kind of gives you like a bit of a side eye, like she doesn't 100% believe it, but she just nods and smiles. She says, all right then, my lovely, I'll get them to have a room ready for you. Are you planning on staying here for a couple of days, or are you just more here to check on your Antonia here?
I actually had thought I would be leaving in the morning, but maybe I'll stay a little longer to pay my respects.
Well, if you like, I kind of run this little place here, and I run the kind of temple up in the main village here itself. So if you just come by the temple, I'll be happy to show you around.
That would be great.
All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. She kind of like, she gives you a smile. She pats your shoulder, and then she leaves the garden. You are free to explore the house and the rest of Empty Shallows.
Oh, you bastard. Oh, I knew you'd done something shitty. Oh. Yeah, Squash is going to go into the house and just reminisce a little bit. He's going to look around, see what things have been changed, what is missing, and so forth. From his childhood, that is.
The house is pretty much as it ever was, except that your father's presence has almost 100% been eradicated. There's very little here of his. There is no chest where he gave you his equipment when you first left. The bed is just a single rather than the double that you remember. You look into your room and it's almost exactly as you left it, except that the cupboard is open and the drawing of Osmark is very clear and preserved on the wall.
Why would they do?
But it's pretty much as it ever was. It's probably a lot less dusty because a lot of footfalls go through here and it's treated with a degree of respect. Yeah.
Squash eyes the drawing of Osmark, like, really hard for a second, and then he's like, No, I don't, it's fucking bullshit. All of this is fucking bullshit. She did not forget him. And Squash is gonna start going through the house with the intent of finding his secrets. He is sure that his mother did not forget his father, and he's going to try to find whatever he can to try to prove that.
I need you to take an investigation roll, please.
All right. Hey, that's actually one of my good stats.
No.
That's a 24.
No! On a 24, you look through, and under the bed, there is a small kind of like chest. And you pull it out and you open it up and you see that there are letters from when your parents were courting, letters from your father to your mother. There are some drawings of his which are they're detailed and they're artistic, but you knew he was that way inclined. He was very good at the kind of charcoal drawings. Yeah, there's a couple of little keepsakes in there, like a small lock of hair, his wedding ring, that kind of thing. You see little bits and pieces like that in this box. You also see a couple of similar things that your mother written, a few things of hers that she had made. The two ribbons used when they were married around their wrists, they're hand-fasting ribbons. They're in there. Her wedding ring is also in there. You see a couple of new trinkets that you don't recognise where they came from or what they ever were. Either you were never explained to them or they're new. You also notice in this box that there is a familiar-looking onyx pin.
Squash is gonna, gently wait. Squash's fingers go towards the pin, and then he hesitates, and he tries to remember how that crown worked. No, not the crown, the onyx pendant. That if I remember correctly, that it could be used to what's the word I'm looking for? Cast through people.
Oh, the necklace that Glengareth was wearing.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, copper and onyx. It was, so far as that you managed to get through Demi's rambling explanations, it was through wearing a contact, that spells could be cast through it from a separate place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I know if it was specifically made with that in purpose, or if that is the point of it?
So the copper and onyx necklace, that was specifically a pair of necklaces that was specifically like this necklace was made to do that.
Okay. That one. Okay. Dayton, you piece of shit. Squash closes the box. He takes off his backpack and he's going to slide the box into it.
You're taking the box?
How big is it?
I don't know, like keepsake box, like a slightly smaller than a shoebox, I guess.
Yeah. I would assume that Squash can probably shove something like that in his. No, Squash doesn't walk around with a fucking backpack. He walks around with his cloak. Forgot that I made Squash dumb.
You would have a bag. If nothing else, like your sleeping bag, you could probably shove it in there.
Right. Actually, yeah. Squash is planning to go to the Earthdark, so he probably would have some traveling gear with him.
Yeah.
You're right. Fuck.
Yeah, you can definitely put this box in your bag. Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, did you not want me to take the entire box?
You can do whatever you want.
I'm sorry. I seem to be very concerned with the story you
My
made.
brain is running through possibilities, and now it won't stop spinning. Okay. Yeah, you can put the entire box in your bag.
I'm assuming that this takes like a good solid hour as he scours the entire house looking for more stuff.
Yeah, other than that, you really don't find much evidence of your father. Maybe a chair that he made, maybe a picture that he drew. Like, that's basically it.
I think Squash's last room that he goes through is his old room.
It's exactly as young Squash would have left it.
And as he's going through it, he's looking under the bed. He's like touching the floorboard, seeing if anything's loose that didn't used to be loose. Not that a lot of things wouldn't have fucking loosened over the 23 years. And as he's running out of options, he gets closer to the drawing, gets closer to the closet. Mm-hmm. And he starts by pulling something over, and he's checking the sides and the walls of the closet. And then eventually it's literally just a picture of Osmark that's left. And Squash is just standing in front of it, and he's staring at it. And he kind of just drops to his butt. And just, hey, Osmark. I'm sorry I was away for so long. A lot of things have changed, huh? You probably know of Dacia now, don't you? More than I do. You probably know more about my parents than I do. I wish you could tell me what happened. And I think Squash just sits there in silence and just thinks really, really hard about the situation he's in.
Did we find you next morning still here?
No, I think after I think at some point Squash actually retells the story of not Empty Shallows, the city of Drenith, mm-hmm. Both of them, the one with Dacian and the one with the party. Mm-hmm. And as he finishes the one with the party, he starts going on oh, and then we went to the gentleman's stooling club, and then his brain trails off, and it's trying to catch up with him, and then he kind of shuffles up back to his feet no, fuck, and he starts heading towards the town hall.
Okay.
Meeting hall, I think you called it.
Yeah, the meeting hall.
Yes.
So the meeting hall has gone through some changes. The meeting hall now it's kind of covered in plans. So whereas before it was just a big empty hall where everybody sat down and was equal, There are now plans tacked up on all the walls. There are tables everywhere with supplies, picks, building materials, hammers, nails, some odd-looking stones, some gems, some basic stones, again in a pile that have been worked or turned into supports or into strange runic shapes. There's a couple of sleeping mats, sleeping beds laid here, and there are a couple of families that are asleep on the floor currently when you enter.
Does Squash have any idea what they're building?
I'm going to go with no. They're only like bits and pieces. It will be kind of really, really difficult for you just to piece together what this is.
Yeah. Squash is going to find whatever bed he was promised, and he's going to crawl up into it, and he tries to go to sleep, and whether it's because of all the things that have happened in the last 24 hours, the fight with Glengareth, the return to the real world. Like, no, wait, how long did that happened in like the last 24 hours, right?
I think so, yeah.
We got teleported to the town.
Yeah.
Like Squash is like, just his brain is racing. He's trying to like absorb all the information, all the things that have happened, and his brain won't calm down. So eventually he reaches into his bag and he gets out a vial and he looks at the smoky liquid that is inside of it. And he knows that as soon as he pops that cork, it's going to turn into gas. And he looks at the God's Dream and just like, okay. Just for tonight. Just need to sleep. I've got a lot to do tomorrow. And Squash is going to use one dose of his God's Dream.
Okay. Once you pop God's Dream, it's much like taking NyQuil. It's a very quick nod off to sleep. You were on the edge of sleep anyway. Okay. The morning is bright, cheerful. There are birds tweeting in the sky. As you look around the meeting hall, it is empty. The bedrolls have been rolled up. Many of the tools that they were using here have gone. Most of the materials themselves have gone. And you can hear the sounds of industry, of heavy work, of the sawing of timber, of the falling of trees. You hear the sound of hammer on nails, on wood, on stone. You feel the strange electric current, which is often magic, going off all around you.
Squash, as soon as he wakes up, he's gonna like gather himself. He's gonna put his big green cloak away. Green cloak, his patched up cloak. And he's just gonna plunk the backpack on his back, and he's gonna head towards the construction sound. Well, it hasn't been talked very much about in this game. The idea of God's Dream, I think I've explained it at least to you as a DM. Mm-hmm. But it gives Squash the time and energy he needs to think. And Squash has basically spent the last 8 hours planning, so he's got a little bit of a composure that he did not have last night.
There's a bit more focus in his step.
Yeah, he now knows what is wrong, and he's had time to deal with it, even though it was asleep.
Yeah. Well, it's a very focused form of dreaming.
Yes.
Okay, you head out towards the construction, and in the daylight you realise what's different. The trees that dotted the edge, the ones that dropped the cherry blossom pink leaves down, they've all been cut down. As you look around, houses that were on the edge have been knocked down completely flat. They've been taken down for material, hence why there are people living in the big meeting hall. The trees have been pushed back very far. The ones that were on the edge where the waterfall fell, they're gone, they're stripped away. Many of those big rocks have been rolled, smashed, and are used to make something else. You can see that there is an odd glow to the waterfall that there never was before. It's glowing a kind of light pink colour. As you look around, you can see that they are building something. It's on the ground itself. Where there was once farmland, It's now been absorbed by the construction of this thing. You can see that it's very intricately laid out, that there is metals being melted and poured into channels within the stone which have been carved. You can see the gems have been placed in specific places. They mean it's not random. This is something odd and magical, and you can feel it in the air. There is almost everybody at work here. Everybody is also wearing a kind of a pin. Either they're wearing it in their hair and it's a kind of a dark stone. Not all of them are onyx, some of them are. Most of them are dark stones. They're either wearing a small circle on an ear, or they're wearing it on their arm, or it's sewn into their clothes. But everyone here, with your 26, everyone here is wearing something along those lines.
Squash is gonna look for somebody who looks like he is overseeing construction, but not constructing himself.
Okay. You see a halfling man. You see a halfling man, kind of ordering people around, overseeing the construction. You see a couple of other masters coming to speak to them. They don't seem to be like the master of any of these trades, but they seem to be very good at organizing everybody else to do their jobs. They have a shock of white hair, but they look familiar to you.
Squash observes him a little bit, okay, and then heads towards him, and is trying to catch his eye, i.e., he's trying not to be sneaky.
Okay. You see the kind of the man turn around. He's probably maybe 10, 15 years older than you. You recognize him as being the former tribe leader's son. He's weathered with age a little bit, but he seems to be in charge and pushing. He's politely ordering people around. There's no raised voices. There's no anger happening when disaster strikes. They just deal with it and move on.
Would I happen to remember his father's name?
His father's name was Asa.
Asa.
Yes.
All right. Squash is gonna approach him, and then I'm assuming that the guy is trying to intentionally ignore Squash because he has work to do. But as Squash kind of walks up to him, he just goes "Hello,
hello."
You wouldn't happen to be Asa's son?
Yeah, I am. Can I help you?
It's not exactly help. Well, if you could help me with my curiosity, I guess.
How about we walk and talk? I've got to go survey something on the edge of the fields. Come with.
Yeah. That sounds good. And Squash starts following him. So Asa, I've been away.
No. Asa was my father.
Sorry. What is your name?
Anson.
I've been away for a very, very long time. What is going on? What are you guys doing?
Well, it's no point in hiding it, really. We're building a rune on the floor of Empty Shallow as a dedication to the blissful ones.
Right, I heard that name yesterday. Could you tell me? So I've been hearing contradicting things about the blissful eclipse. Could you tell me more about them? You seem to be a man of knowledge.
You'd probably be better off going talking to our priest.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you have a church to the blissful eclipse, don't you?
Yeah.
Worshipping.
It's if you just go back there, it's the kind of the big circular building.
Right.
So sorry, if you're after matters of faith, that's probably the best place to go. I've got a lot to get on with. I want to make sure this is built before within the next few days.
Right. Yeah, you seem to know what you're doing. Are you the one who designed this?
No. We got our instructions from Dacian himself.
Squash very slightly flinches when he says it, like, fuck. Right, yeah. So you're following Daejin's design.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course we are. I mean, he's the one that's got the contact straight to the Blissful Eclipse. If he says that the Blissful Eclipse wants this tribute built to make it easier for them to get here, then we're going to do it.
Great. Yeah, great.
I know, it's great, isn't it? Well, you hurry along to church. I'm just going to go. I've got to... Hey, Pete, can you not do that with the gold? He's going to march off.
Squash just does a 180 towards the circular building.
Yep.
The church. And he's like striding with a little bit more like speed now. Like, okay. So there's this sign.
The temple is empty, but for the young woman that you saw yesterday. She's wearing jet black robes, and she has a circlet on her head, which is just a dark stone. It's not onyx, it's just dark.
Hello?
She turns around and like smiles widely at you.
Hey, it's you again.
Yes. So what can I be doing for you?
Squash seems a little taken aback that she's also here. Like, are you a woman of the cloth?
Yeah, I am. Daichin saved my father when he brought us here. So I've dedicated myself to the Blissful Eclipse, the Blissful Ones, and to Daichin's teachings.
Right. I was wondering if you could tell me more about the Blissful Eclipse.
Well, do you want to sit down? And she indicates one of like the many like cushions on the floor.
Yeah. It seems nice.
She kind of like she sits down opposite you and makes herself comfortable. She says, "Well, the Blissful Eclipse is going to come here, and one day very soon, we're hoping. Daichin says the signs are going to be here any day now. That they're going to come here and they're going to get rid of pain and they're going to get rid of disease. That they're going to absorb everyone here and turn them into happier, more whole, more blissful existence than we've ever had before. There'll be no going to Cicero or Bellum, no going to Bellum to fight demons when we're gone. There'll be no going to the stalking where any number of creatures can take us or have the Reapers decide where we get to go. There'll be no going to Cicero and getting turned into an angel or turned into a sandman or into a phoenix. None of that. We just get to be ourselves, lost in knowledge that we're not alone, that we're comfortable and that we're happy, that we're blissful. I mean, they cured us. And she kind of like gestures to empty shallows.
So nobody's a were-rat anymore?
Nope, not a single one of us.
He just came back and cured you?
Well, it took him a bit of time, but yeah. He came back with a tale of young Dan, begging him to cure us, cure his family, his father and his mother. And those people that didn't believe, they died. And the ones that did, they lived.
Right. That's all great. Yeah, Squash just kind of stands up and he's not even making eye contact anymore. He's just kind of lost in thought, like, great, yeah, right. And then he just turns around and walks out.
Are you going? Do you want me to show you around the village?
What? Wait, yeah, that would actually be useful.
She walks you around empty shallows. And it's very obvious that they are building, now that she kind of talks you through it, and she explains that they are building a method that makes it easier for the Blissful Eclipse to see the physical plane. She explains that it will help to draw them here, that it will help them to see all the people that they need to save. And it becomes obvious that they're building a large circle with a cross in it.
All right. So, what Squash is trying to listen for is where the plans are. Because this is big and this is intricate, and he highly doubts that anybody has this in his head except Dajin.
No. So she kind of makes it through kind of like probing, prodding, and you've already seen most of the plans. They're in the meeting hall.
Right. They were there. You mentioned them.
Yeah.
Fuck. I think... Fuck, there's no way to fix this. It's been 23 years. It's 20 years of fucking brainwashing. There's no way of getting them out of it. At the end of the tour, during the whole thing, does Squash get a feeling for where this woman lives?
This particular woman?
Yeah.
From what you've gathered, she kind of lives at the temple.
Okay, yeah. Like, she never goes like, no, I live over there. Like,
no, she doesn't like point it out, but you kind of like have kind of picked up this is where she lives mostly.
All right. Once she's done showing Squash around, he's just like, okay, are you guys not afraid that you're not going to have enough food for next winter?
Christopher, people aren't worried that their houses aren't going to last for a few more days. You can see we're stripping the wood, we're stripping all of the metal out of most of these places. There isn't going to be a next winter.
Right.
I say not next winter. Winter's going to come in a few days. We don't need to live through it. It's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of hungry. I'm gonna go fish for some food and eat. Thank you very much for showing me around.
You're most welcome. And if you want to come pray with us to the blissful ones at any point, you're welcome to come join us.
Thanks for the offer. And Squash kind of like awkwardly like moves away.
Okay. Okay, so you're at the edge of town. What do you want to
do? Squash is gonna make his way back to the big rune that they're working on.
Yeah.
And over the like extent of a couple of hours, he's gonna be studying it very intensely. And he's not actually studying the rune, he's studying the people and trying to see gaps and moments where he can kneel down and change something.
I'm going to say with your passive, I guess you're kind of just like keeping an eye and watching. There's sections of the runes that are, of the rune, which is actually already finished.
Okay, yeah.
So it would be like fairly easy to go to the edge of that and start messing with it. I need to impress how big this rune that they're building is.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's like a big public square kind of thing. Like.
I think you need to think bigger. They were tearing down parts of like the houses that people were living in. They have destroyed many of the trees around the edges. They've been bringing rocks in. This is a huge endeavor. If, for example, if you were to climb up to the top of the waterfall, which is quite a distance up, the one that feeds the river, which is now kind of flowing pink through empty shallows, you'd be able to see it from up there. This is a huge undertaking.
Yeah. Okay, yes, it is huge.
Yeah, it would be absolutely feasible for you to essentially just sneak off to one side without any sort of roll and start messing with it. What are you planning on doing? What's the ultimate motive here?
It is to make it look like it hasn't been messed with, but messing with it. So you said something about like gemstones being placed in patterns and stuff like that. The intention is like if there's let's say there are two very similar patterns next to each other. Mm-hmm. Squash is just gonna mix the stones and the ingredients and maybe change the pattern just slightly.
Yeah, that I'm going to say is probably just really easy to do. Even if you decided to wait for nightfall, which would be like advantageous for you to do this. Yeah, if like for example you decide to take the day and whatever night it is, it'll be very easy for you to go in and mess with it. Your perception of 26 will basically stop anyone and be able to sneak up on you. These guys don't have that as their. I'm never going to roll for them. They don't really have that as their forte, and the chances of a nat 20. I think it's more interesting that you get to mess with it. So yeah, for sure you can do that.
Then, like, as people are turning in for the night, and I'm assuming I've done enough damage that it should be fine. Squash is gonna ask, is it okay if I start a little bonfire?
Who are you talking to?
Basically, I just go up to like anybody.
Okay.
Like it's basically just is it okay if I start a little fire? Like I'm gonna spend the night outside and.
Or if you want to be camping, yeah, sure. Just make sure it's not too big. Don't just take some scraps. We've got some scrap wood here somewhere that we're not using. Right. And they go off and they get you a bunch of like just burn this. Don't burn anything else because we say we're using it for our dedication.
Of course. And Squash is gonna make it like a little campfire, and then he's gonna see if he can find something to like stand on, something that will make him a little bit taller than the fire. He's gonna make the fire like a little bit bigger than he should, clearly. And then he's going to find something that he could stand on.
Sure. There could be rocks nearby. That would be fine.
Yeah. And he's going to roll that close to the campfire. And like currently he's just kind of sitting on it, but he knows he's going to stand on it later.
Uh-huh.
And then Squash gives it a good 2 hours before he's going to go and try to snatch the drawings, the schematics,
the plans from the meeting house?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to need you to make that stealth check this time, only because you're trying to sneak into a place which has families living in there and steal a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to need you to roll a stealth check for me.
All right. Let's roll a stealth then. How about you don't suck me right now? That's a 23.
I'm giving them one chance.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a 3-year-old awake or a mother feeding a child or an old man looking over the schematics at that very moment. Let's give them one shot. Well, they don't get a 23.
All right. They got a 25.
They got a 90. No. Oh, that's because I rolled a D100. Oops. No. Yeah, you kind of like, you break in, you kind of very quietly make your way inside. The families are all sleeping. There's a moment when you hear one of them like take a sharp breath in and they kind of roll over and kind of their eyes open a bit, but then they immediately close and they start to drift off again. Your steps become so much quieter and softer. It's very tense. It probably takes you about an hour because some of the plans are right near the family and you're just being so super sneaky quiet. But you manage to take them off the walls, off of the tables. You have collected all the plans as far as you're aware.
All right. I'm going to just show them in my backpack for now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a quick stroll to Anson's house, the son of the former mayor.
Yeah, sure.
And just kind of knock on his door.
He kind of like blearily eyed opens it and it's like, what?
I need to talk a little bit.
If it's about the blissful eclipse stuff, you probably better go into the temple, mate. I've got a long shift in the morning. How about you come back tomorrow?
Okay, I guess that's fine. As he's saying this, Squash is trying to peek into his house to see if he has any sketches or schematics in his house.
Take a perception or investigation.
That's a 21.
So far as you can see from like the crack that he opens it, like peering around him, like in his nice night pants, like looking inside, it's very sparse and very bare in there, and it doesn't, from a quick glance, appear to be any plans in here.
Okay. Squash is like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah, okay, I get you. Good night. And he just turns around and starts walking away.
Door closes behind you.
All right, fine. I'm going to the temple.
Okay, you make your way to the temple. The woman that you met earlier...
Sorry. And as I pass the fire, I stack it a little bit higher. Not crazy high. Not like somebody's going to come out and turn it out because it's going to catch everything on fire, but he's just keeping it.
Oh, okay. Sure, that's fairly easy to do. Yeah, you make your way into the temple. You can see that the priestess, the woman that you were speaking to before, she's curled up under a blanket, sleeping on some of the cushions that are used for the prayers in the morning.
Squash's gonna walk up to her and like, hey, sorry, I know you're sleeping, but this is kind of important.
Sure. She kind of like sits up a little bit and pulls the blanket up around her. Any time of the night or day. What can I do for you, Christopher?
This is kind of silly, but can I ask your name before I go? Before I tell you?
Sure. Sorry, it's really early in the morning. I have got to try and remember my name.
Sorry, I assumed you actually had her name written down, but...
No, this character was going to be something else, but it's okay. People here, they call me Kada.
Kada.
Thank you, Ratstring.
All right, Kada. What you are going to do with the information I tell you is going to matter a lot in the future. And because of how the world has turned and how the things have turned out, I don't think anybody's going to blame you one way or another. Just know that you will affect the world greatly.
Well, yeah, we're building in a device that will bring the blissful eclipse.
It will bring the apocalypse.
Apocalypse is just a big scary word. It just means the end of things. It means the change. Change isn't bad. It's just change.
I've seen it. I've seen what's behind the veil. I've seen death. I didn't die per se. No necromancy was used to bring me back, but I was thrown beyond the veil, and I was thrown into Cicero. And I saw them there, my parents.
Right. Wouldn't it be better next time you pass, the veil, that you don't see them in Cicero like that? You're not still a separate entity. You're one and the same. You get to be joined and at peace.
And is your blissful eclipse gonna consume the gods, the heavens, and the earth?
Of course.
Everybody there will have the lives they live there taken away from them.
It won't be taken away. It'll be changed into something else.
That's what death is. It's being taken away and turned to something else. The blissful eclipse doesn't bring you happiness. It just brings the end of things. And bringing the end of things isn't good for us mortals.
Well, Christopher, that's
not my name.
I didn't think it was, but people travel under different names for different reasons. And in the end, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because the blissful eclipse, the blissful ones, they're going to be coming here, and they're going to be enveloping all of us.
Not if I can prevent it, which I intend to.
I don't think you're going to be able to. They're coming one way or another.
That's what people said about curing my raretism. They're not going to be able to. But somebody did. Somebody greater than Dachin the shit.
Now, I don't really like you taking that tone in here.
I'm not
whoever
surprised.
You are.
I'm not surprised. Because Dachin has given you nothing but lies.
Dachin has come here and he's cured us all. And he's guaranteed that the blissful eclipse will take us and make us into something better, something more peaceful than this life we've led. Now, he has been nothing but nice to us.
Dajin has done nothing but lie to you.
You have done nothing
me.
but listen to the lies of the outside world have corrupted you. That's what's happened. You've seen things and it's tainted your worldview, and you need the blissful eclipse to take that taint on your eyes away. You're too blind to see it. Now,
have you ever met Dajin?
Of course I've met Dajin. He's a very nice guy. He cured my father, then he cured me. Now I want you to take your blasphemy out of my temple, or I will force you to.
Squash stands up and looks at her straight in the eyes and just goes, I never died. Dajin lied about that.
Get out.
I've taken the schematics, and Squash just starts walking.
She gets up and kind of like pulls on a robe. And as you kind of leave and she arrives at the door of the temple, she says, it doesn't matter. We'll ask him and he'll bring us more. We aren't the only ones.
Squash walks up to the fire and like grabs the drawings out of his bag and just starts tossing one after another.
She screams for the guards. She screams for anyone to help her. And the town rouses.
Squash, as he's like throwing the last ones, he's just gonna jump on the rock, and he just kind of loudly declares like, any of you who still have a mind of their own know that Dawn didn't die down there, and Dajin didn't save him. The blissful eclipse is a lie. My mother loved my father, and I don't know what he did to them. But I will get their revenge, and the blissful eclipse would not ruin this. Don't let them ruin this place.
He speaks blasphemy. He speaks blasphemy against our Dajin, against the blissful ones. Get him!
And with that, Squash is gonna try to run away.
Okay. Where are you fleeing to? Do you have a place in mind?
I think Squash got the only thing he needed, which was the little box.
Yeah.
So Squash is basically just running towards the Earthdark opening that he knows is around there somewhere.
Yeah, the Earthdark opening is a little distance outside. Like you probably have been to that before, where maybe we spoke about it before, where Squash has maybe considered coming back and then changed his mind. Yeah, there is an entrance, but it's probably like a good half day, maybe a day out. But you can definitely run in that direction. I want you to make one athletic check and then one stealth.
All right.
If you fail this, they will get you.
Oh, Jesus. All right, let's
and you will be screwed for 4 days.
All right, let's start with stealth. That's a 23.
Mm-hmm.
And then athletics. Oh, boy. Come on, don't fuck me on that one. That's a 19.
Sure. They chase you for a good long time. They split off and go in different directions as they lose your tracks. You're probably fairly close to the Earthdark tunnels when you realise that you've evaded all pursuit. It's probably you're a good portion of the way through day 2 when you reach the Earthdark tunnels. I assume he's heading down?
Yep.
Okay.
He's got one thing left.
Mm-hmm. As happenstance would have it, the Snurf Beflin tribe that you basically became a part of, they operate far and wide across Discora. You know the secret entrances, you know the secret ways, you know the markings that you're looking for. And probably by the evening of the second day, you find yourself on the edge of a large cavern. You're looking kind of up into where it's been built. This place has a lot of buildings that have been dug into the walls themselves. There are Snurf Beflin almost exclusively here, as though many of the Duragar work hand in hand, or at least oversee them in a brutal way. Here is, thankfully for you, only Snurf Bethlin here. Most of them are still working. For them, night and day doesn't mean a whole lot. They're still trading, they're still talking, there's a market going on. And as you approach, even some distance off, you figure, you hear, you know that you've been spotted.
That should be very obvious. Squash does not have dark vision, so
Yes.
he's the only one walking around with a candle.
Yes.
Except maybe people enjoying colors.
Yeah, people who like colour, yeah. There's some light here, there's not a whole lot. But yeah, as you kind of like approach to the edge of this kind of like small village, you see a Snurf Bethlin man, fairly old, grey hair, leaning on a stick, and he makes his way over. Either side of them are our two guards, both young, both fit and healthy, carrying obviously very sharpened weapons. And he stands, the old man, on the edge of the town as you approach, and he says, "What brings an upsider down here?"
I'm about 15 years late, but I bring bad news of a party that was sent out.
Many parties over 15 years, many parties didn't return. Be more specific, Uplander.
They were part of the 2-3. I don't know if they're still a thing at all.
And he looks down and he thinks. The young woman who has been flanking him kind of leans down and whispers into his ear. And he looks at her and nods. Yes, we've had some 2-3s in the past. She leans down again and whispers and points at you. And he looks at her and nods, and she steps forward and says, "Are you the one they called Squash?"
Yeah. Why do you guys still remember me?
Uplanders don't come down here very often, let alone be accepted into our parties.
Well, yeah, I had Grishuk to thank for that.
Yes, Grishuk.
Yeah,
And the other was Crescent, correct?
they were the two that went with me on our last run, yes.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys have already assumed, that raid didn't go well. Grishuk and Crescent argued over strategies and eventually got us
I
cut.
think there's someone... Sorry, sir. I think there's someone you should be telling this tale to. We wrote that party off as dead.
You were right to assume so. Who should I talk to?
You should speak to Crescent. You should speak to Crescent's mother.
Yes, I owe her that.
You do. And she kind of gives you a very pointed, angry stare. Come. I know Crescent's mother well.
Thank you.
Leave your weapons.
Gladly.
Leave your supplies.
Less gladly. Please don't squash like hands over the bag to whoever's like taking it. And it's just like, please, I know taking is generally not that much frowned upon, but please not the box. It's all I have left of my parents.
You see the two younger guards kind of like give each other a look, and then they don't agree, but they take your stuff anyway. You are defenseless. You have no weapons. You have no items. Just dropping that. The old man leads you towards a house that's been built into the rock. Even though it's built into the rock, there are still signs of neglect of care in there. It doesn't smell great. Things are broken and shattered. You can see that there is an old woman who's wearing a kind of a thick blanket, sitting at a table, eating bread and cheese. Clearly stolen bread and cheese. I'll throw that out there, but she's sitting there.
Not a lot of cow or wheat fields in the Underdark.
Nope, exactly. This is definitely stolen. And the old man taps on the door and he says, Eclipse. Eclipse. And you see the woman look up. This boy here, the Uplander Crescent, I'll let him explain. And he kind of puts a hand in the bottom of your back and pushes you, and then pushes you further in with his stick.
Squash kind of like stumbles in and like gets his footing again just before getting pushed more with the stick.
Yeah, this old lady is someone you actually would have known. Crescent was a very close, loyal friend after you kind of earned her trust. Let's put it like that. And you see the woman peering at you through very thick kind of lenses in her glasses. She kind of like ruffles her nose a little bit and like straightens out the wild white hair on her head. And she's like,
Squash? Is that really you?
For better or for worse, yes, this is me.
Come here, my boy.
And she kind of like puts her arms out. It's obvious she can't move or isn't willing to move.
Dumb point, but Squash looks for any kind of weapon because he would not be surprised.
On her?
Yeah.
She has a fork.
All right. I'll take a fork to the face. I deserve no less. All right, I'll risk a fork to the face. It's more like it. Yeah, no, Squash goes in for a hug.
She gives him a good hug and like pats him on the back a little bit. And
there's definitely a moment where she like envelops him, like when she wraps her hands around him, that like his brain just turns off for a second. The old sensation, the smells, the surroundings, it's probably like breaking his brain a little bit.
Yeah.
But he snaps quickly out of it and like, Eclipse, I don't have Crescent with me. I just want to make that clear straight away.
Sit down, young Squash.
And she kind of like pats the chair next to her.
Squash thumps himself down.
Tell an old mother what happened.
The 2-3s had been struggling, as you knew. We hadn't been bringing back as much as we used to, and it was costing us members. They were being pulled or quitting. I didn't understand the system exactly at the time. I just knew people came and went, and they were wenting a lot more. We went on a small raid. It wasn't supposed to be a big one. It wasn't supposed to be a heist. It was just supposed to be a little bit of metal. Just something to bring back to work. And Grishuk, the old fool, didn't want to go along with Crescent. He didn't believe in her plans. He wanted to do it a little bit by force. Grishuk wanted to do it smartly. And they neither listened to each other, and the raid went badly.
Was it at least peaceful for her? Quick.
It wasn't dignified, but it was quick. It was humans, taunting, jabbing, mostly with words. But the death was quick. A swift slash across the neck, and she went down.
How did you get away? Why didn't you save her?
Because I'm a coward. Because I was scared. Because I could see the writing on the wall, but I was neither strong nor willful enough to stand up to them.
She did everything to help you. She stood up for you with the rest of the Snurf Bethlehem when they wouldn't.
Yeah, she did. And...
Why are you here now?
Because I ran away. I ran away, and I spent A pitiful 20 years.
Why are you here now?
To ask for your forgiveness. To ask for all of your forgivenesses.
Forgive you for running away.
For not coming back. For not coming back to the home you guys have made for me. For
You
throwing
want
it all.
our forgiveness. You want my forgiveness for not having come told me. Because what? Why now?
Because the world is gonna end. And you deserve a chance of redemption, retribution.
I deserved this 15 years ago, Squash.
Yes, you did. And
The
it may
only
not have been...
thing that has changed is that you feel guilty enough now.
No. The only thing that changed is that I don't think there's gonna be a next year. I can't put it off any longer. You've heard about the apocalypse, right?
She reaches out and she puts a hand on your shoulder.
Thank you for telling me. Thank you for finally the courage to just tell me. But you will never earn my forgiveness for leaving her. I don't care if the apocalypse, you owed me this a long time ago and you owed her better. Now get out and don't fail whoever it is that guilted you into this. Get out.
Squash gets up and her... Yeah.
If Squash doesn't move quick enough, you see her going for the bowl.
Squash moves.
Yeah,
as soon as
smart move.
Yeah, as soon as he sees her getting aggressive or more aggressive, he gets the fuck out of there.
As you kind of hightail it out, you hear the breaking of, the shattering of the kind of like clay bowl on the door frame as you go to leave.
Is the Swiftnablin outside?
Yeah, the old man and the young woman, they're both waiting outside. She has your things.
Before I leave, is the market open?
Yes, but not for you.
As she hands over, she kind of like holds your bag, which even from like a quick glance, you can tell the box is still there at least. You're pretty sure some other things may be missing. It looks a little lighter than it was, but that's the tax for being here.
Yeah.
And your weapons are there also, but she holds on to those until you're going to leave.
Yeah. Please, can I do something to... I've upset her. Can I please ease that suffering in some way?
The old man looks at you with like a questioning look.
I don't know. She doesn't have a lot. I am assuming that Crescent was the only one keeping her family afloat. Can either of you buy her stuff for me, since I'm not allowed in the market anymore?
You see the young girl, without even looking at the older man, she kind of like opens your bag, reaches in, and she grabs a few items. She takes a few of the knives. She takes the +1 dagger for sure. She reaches in and she takes most of whatever gold you had in there. I don't know what you had, by the way.
I have a stupid amount. I don't know how I got it.
Probably thievery.
I don't remember it, but yes.
Let's say she takes like... Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, she takes like a solid 200 off you.
Jesus. Okay.
That's a good amount to take.
Yeah.
And she throws the bag back at you. Kind of throws it in the way that she'd never closed the top properly, so the things kind of like fall out and roll out.
Squash, like he dumps himself on the ground to make sure that the box doesn't open and spill.
No, I'll say for niceness, you save the box.
Squash gets up and kind of slings the backpack back on, and like looks up and like, "You're never gonna see me again. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that You're, you don't have to worry about an Uplander coming again. At least not me. I've done what I needed to do and should have done a long time ago.
You should have.
She walks with you, and the old man kind of like is talking very quietly and very animatedly to her, and then he splits off and leaves her to guide you out. It's going to be a long walk back up, by the way, but she's not taking you all the way.
No.
And the young woman says,
I heard you talking about the apocalypse.
Yeah, it's all the Uplanders talk about.
Mm-hmm. There's rumblings. Our people are going to decide tomorrow if we're going to go with Homer and help fight. Is this apocalypse real?
Yes. I want to say that's what I've been doing, but it's not. It's what I've been doing for the last 5 days, and it's real. I've seen it. It's coming. I'll be there, and if any one of you is there, know that I will give my life for you.
We will see. Good luck.
You too. And Squash reaches out a hand.
she looks at it, kind of gives you that half smile, which basically says, I'm not shaking your hand, but she still respects, and she turns and walks back towards the village. All right. So Squash knows where he needs to be in roughly 2 days' time. Is there anything else of significance he wants to do, or?
Squash is gonna spend about a day wandering the Earth Dark, trying to run into Swiftniblin or Duergar camps and steal, take, and grab whatever he can from the Duergar and barter with the Swiftniblin.
Okay.
He's trying to get himself. He's trying to get himself like material and tools for leatherworking.
Okay. Sure. I'm going to say that the Snurf Bethlin and the Durga are kind of harsh negotiators when it comes with you, because you are one an Uplander, even though you can speak the Earthdark language uncommon. So I'm going to say it's going to cost you like 10 gold. I think that's the right amount for a set of tools. I think that's an extortionate amount for a set of tools. So I think that's fair.
I remember included that is some pickpocketing and
so 10 gold is fair after they catch you, and I mean, you're working in the dark, my dude. That's fine. You make your way back to the meeting point. You arrive there early, and you can see that Empty Shallows is pretty much as you left it. It's a little bit in ruins. There's people still working, but they seem to be working with a fervour now. They put the fire out.
I was assuming as much.
Yeah, it wasn't a big fire anyway, but still. They seem to be still working. Is there anything else you'll want to do before I take you away from your 4-day vacation? Cough, cough, cough.
I think... No, I think Squash is basically just staring down at Empty Shallows. He has his kind of hands on his knees and his face cupped in his hands. And he's just kind of staring at Empty Shallows, thinking like all the things he didn't do. He never found their grave. There's just so much bullshit that he needed to do. But of course, Dajin ruined that too.
Of course he did, because he's a dick. You hear like a whoosh of wind, like an intake, and you feel like a little crackle of electricity. And Demi puts her hand on your shoulder.
Hey, Demi.
Hi, you ready to go?
Yep, I did all I could.
You notice that she looks a little bit more human than she has before. Many of the runes have faded or not glowing so bright. Some of the orcish features are gone. She looks more like a human girl, human woman than she ever has. and she says, "Oh, you still need to. Is there something else you wanted to do? I mean, I can maybe take you somewhere else, but I'm kind of a bit low on magic right now, so I don't really. I mean, we could make it work. I mean,
it's fine. Squash looks at her bandages over her eye.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. You would assume she hasn't changed them at all.
Oh boy. Squash reaches into his pocket for the thing that he's been making for the last day with the leather crafting kit, and
what?
Basically, I had 2 days left when I leave this Rift Nebula, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
A day of that was spent getting the kit, and the next day was spent sitting there, crafting and making.
Okay, I'll allow this. What are you doing?
He reaches into his pocket and he gets out a very crudely made eye patch. I was gonna buy you one, but Empty Shallows doesn't want to do business with me, and neither did this Rift Neblin, so I did what I could.
She kind of like sits down cross-legged next to you, and she kind of like looks at what you're offering. She hasn't taken it, by the way. She kind of looks at the eyepiece, the patch that you made, and she looks at it a little confused, and she says, "So, what do you need me to do?"
Just it's a gift. You don't need me to do anything. It's for you because you don't seem to care that you're wearing wrappings, and I thought you'd like something more day to day, something that takes less time to put on, probably. Or at least doesn't require another person stopping you mid-thing and forcing you to change. It's yours to use and throw away once you get a more comfortable one.
She kind of like, she reaches out and she takes it and she looks at it and kind of like turns it over a few times and looks up at you and she's like, You made this?
Oh, behind Squash there's like a pile, like a tiny pile of like ruined leather. And he's like, well, yeah, it's the best one I could do in the time I had, and with the leather I had. And I tried to make it as plush as I could. Like it shouldn't hurt you. And if you don't like it, just go back to your wrappings.
It's not that I don't like it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess I haven't. So when people give me things, there's always like a thing behind it, like you have to go do this, or they need to check out what it is. And thank you. I would have kept wearing the wrapping, and she kind of like, as she's doing it, she's kind of like undoing it. It's like, I would keep wearing it. I mean, I'm not really that worried. I mean, the end of the world is coming soon, but I guess this is much nicer. And as she kind of like takes it out, like she kind of turns her head a little bit so you don't have to see like whatever ruin messes underneath. And she puts the eye patch on and like ties on the back. And she turns and looks back at you. It's like, how's it look?
Well, everything beside the patch looks great.
She kind of, you can tell she's blushing. She has no idea what to do with herself right now. Seeing Demi flustered is not an unusual thing, but not being able to say anything, that's new. She kind of like looks a little bit flustered and looks a little bit confused. And then she looks back at you and she says, "So how did everything down in the Empty Shallows go? I know you said you were gonna show it to me one day, but I guess things aren't going well by the look on your face."
It's awful. The agent's been there. They're erecting something to the blissful eclipse to give them a better look into our world. I think I fucked it up enough to at least stall them.
Could you draw it?
Draw the symbol?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, easily.
Okay.
I burnt all their schematics, though.
That's smart. I mean, it would have been better if I could look at them, but that's still a smart thing to do because we don't want them to do whatever they're doing. The agent has been here.
Well, yeah, he picked me up here 23 years ago, and now he came back, told them wild tales about my expiration, and then probably cast awful spells on all of them, and they're all probably broken now.
Okay. Well, we'll bring this to everyone tomorrow. I haven't gone to get them yet. You said you... I mean, we... And she kind of like gestures at Empty Shallows and back at you again, and she's like, "Well, you've shown me your home, so I wanna take you somewhere not here."
Oh,
but you don't have to come if you don't want to. It can be dangerous, and what I'm gonna do is gonna be super dangerous. But I said I'd show you the place where I cool off, so I wanted to. If you want to go, well, we still have time. But if not, then I guess. I mean, if you're not interested, then I can just take us back to Falsum and not worry about it.
Oh. Yeah. No, I'm not in any hurry until we pick up the rest of the crew.
Okay. She puts her hand on your shoulder, and you feel a familiar tug on the back of your navel. You find yourself, after going through the stalking, seeing three spectres, one you may or may not recognize, and two you don't, sort of hanging around and waving and smiling. You can see that they're kind of like throwing cards between them. And when you come back to in the physical plane, you find yourself on the top of an overhang, a cliff. It's about 150, 160 feet up. It's one of those that looks like it should be in a horror movie where you have like the bit of the earth that like reaches over like a big empty thing underneath it. You find yourself atop of this. As you look around, you can see that what you're standing on is actually a piece of broken earth. It has floated up in the breaking of the world recently. It's not where it should be in space. As you look down, you can see a large forest. Trees go on for miles and miles. You can see that there is a break in the trees where obviously there's a river, or should be a river, flowing through. And as you look down about 160 feet below you, you see a clearing. It's kind of shaped a bit like an almond, so kind of like an oval, but the ends are more pointed. Mm-hmm. And you can see that there is a darker set of trees that kind of like ring the edge of this clearing. And it's an iced over lake. You can see that there is kind of like ice all over the top of it, and it's fairly thick. And it's really cold up here. You can definitely feel that winter is coming. You can definitely feel that the end of autumn is coming.
The cold season is coming.
The cold season, yes. The cold and flu season. Get your shots, people. The cold and flu season is coming. And yeah, it's fairly chilly up here. Even Demi looks like she's beginning to shiver a little. It's not as cold as it is on the top of Dead Sky Mountain by no means, but you guys are standing there. And she says, "So I don't really know what this place is called, but you see, there's a lake down here. Don't worry about it. I'm going to be there's a lake down there under the ice here, and this is where my father found my mother after my mother kind of accidentally dropped me in here. Don't worry, it wasn't icy then, it was just water. She's a little bit of a klutz, and it's full of magic, and this place is really cool, and there's a really cool thing that's going to happen really soon, and I thought you'd want to see it maybe." And
yeah, thank you for showing this to me. There are beautiful places in the world.
I think Empty Shallows would have been really pretty in the daylight. She kind of gives you like half a smile of like, oops.
Not anymore. The, what's going to be happening here soon?
So there's something really cool that happens at this place. When winter starts,
mm-hmm.
You see how it looks a bit like a big closed eye?
Yeah.
It opens.
It opens?
Yeah. Like it's called, well, I don't know what we call it, but Damaz calls it the Eye of Winter. So like when winter comes, when winter officially starts on Bikron, it opens. And you can see for like the briefest moment, like a movement of, an eye. And there's lots of magic that happens. And it's really cool. Now, it's not the only thing that Damaz and I do when the Eye of Winter opens, but you don't have to join me in that. And
What do you guys do?
well, last year I was this close, and she kind of like puts like her two fingers so they're almost touching, jumping in there just as the magic starts. I was that close. I missed it by a hair's breadth. And I want to, well, we keep trying to do it, and Damaz did it the first time we did it, and then have never managed to do it again, and I haven't quite managed to do it. So I'm just going to, before the world ends, I really want to give it a go. I mean, you don't have to.
Sounds like fun.
Really? It's really cold down there.
I'll bring warm clothes.
And as she says that, kind of like the,
Squash has, by the way, like definitely pulled this cloak closed and he's like trying to preserve whatever little water heat he has.
The earth begins to shake and tremor a little bit, and as you look up, you can see the very first flakes of the snow of winter beginning to fall. And she's like, "We have to go. We have to go. We have to go. You ready?
What?
You ready? You ready? I'm ready.
Now.
All right, this is going to be good. Remember, feet first, otherwise you'll break your ankles."
What?
And she grabs his wrist and she jumps. Are you willingly going with, or are you going to try and resist? It's 160 feet down. You will take damage.
Squash is going for it.
Okay.
He's thrown last couple of this week has been really difficult.
So what he wants to do is jump into a frozen lake.
Okay. This is gonna sound like really like dark and weird, but
Yep.
it's like the worst thing that can happen is death, and that's just a welcome outcome at the moment.
Oh no!
Everything's so fucking difficult and dark right now that like why not try to enjoy a moment with somebody rather than worrying? So like,
Okay.
fuck it.
As you guys, as you jump, as you fall, Demi kind of like pulls you in really close to her, and you can feel just like the natural radiance of her being whatever she is, just irradiating heat at you. And she points a hand down as she casts Burning Hands as you guys fall, so you can create a hole in the ice so you don't land on solid ground. I still want you to roll 15d6.
Yes. Oh, Jesus.
This is damage that you'll both be taking. So if you kill Demi, this is entirely your fault at this
How did
point.
I kill Demi? Where's Damaz? I thought he was going to be part of this madness.
Well, I considered it, and I considered having a cute snowball fight, but I decided to cut to the chase of what's going on here.
All right. I think the first question is, can I use acrobatics in any way to like dampen the fall? I want to ask that before I roll above my maximum hit points.
Well, Demi has grabbed you by the waist. You need to convince her in the maybe 6 seconds it's going to take for you to hit the ground.
Nope. All right. All right. Gods of fuckery, don't kill me now. That's a 58 damage.
Okay.
That's 4 6s in those 15.
That's fine. It's also 3-1, so I don't know what you're moaning about.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. Yeah. That's
As you guys hit the ground, as you guys hit the water feet first, Demi actually hits the water first because she's taller than you. And she manages to like kind of partially disperse some of this damage. You still take 58, by the way.
I have written that down.
I need to find my dice because
I have a bag of them here.
it's okay. I got one.
Oh, yeah, of course. You have your fat dice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. They're so good. Okay.
They've been a bane of our existence.
Everyone hates me rolling them, so I love them so much. Okay. As the water hits you, you feel the iciness of the water that she has just dived into. It hits you in that kind of like chest, in that kind of like, if you step into a shower that's cold, you get that of shock.
Yeah.
This is what happens. So I need you to make a con check for me. A con save, sorry.
Oh, and I'm not good at those. That's a 9.
Okay, you have no air.
Oh boy.
The impact of the sudden shock, it's too much. You smash into the water and realise that you have maybe a couple of seconds left before you have to take a deep breath in. The water is freezing cold, but Demi is like a lightning rod in here. It's warmer on one part of you. Your cloak is doing not all that much. And as you both dive in, my roll meant that good things happen.
Oh.
As your chest areas, both roughly in line, I'd say, kind of hit the water, that exact moment, the eye opens. The water around you glows this deep purple and it begins to swirl. And you realize your vision isn't through either looking at your eyelids if they're closed or looking into like the mass of the water around you. You're looking up. You're looking at the stars and you feel yourself being pulled forward. And then the vision turns back to look at itself and you see the lake. You see an iris glowing purple. You see darkness in the very center of it, the hole that you guys burned your way through, and you see 2 tiny pinpricks in there. You see the ice blink and open again. And then all your senses return back to you. As Demi and yourself both just kick your way up. She also failed her con, by the way. I did this before we started. You both kick and push and make your way to the surface. It's a very deep breath in. And as you breathe in this purple glow which is making its way out of the lake. And it hits you square in the chest. You breathe it in. It goes in your veins and into your heart. You have gained something magical about you. Demi puts a hand on your shoulder, and it's like someone has set your shoulder on fire. You look, you can see your shoulder kind of going, you can feel your shoulder going red, even under her touch. And she pulls you up and out of the water, and then pulls herself on top of the lake. And the ice hole that you two had burnt through begins to close up underneath you.
I thought you meant in like a couple of days.
Nope. Damn it. I missed it again.
You missed it? I thought we hit the hole.
We did, but... So, you hit the hole at the right time and you kick up at the right time and the magic doesn't all just float out into the world and turn it into winter. Some of it gets stuck in your blood and I missed it. Oh, damn it.
And what does that mean?
It means I missed the cool magic thing. I didn't get to feel winter.
No, what does it mean that I feel winter?
Wait, what?
I breathed something, or breathed something.
What?
How do you say this word?
She kind of looks at you and you see her eye kind of like go wide. And she kind of like crawls over to you and she kind of like, you see her eye roll roll backwards and you see like different colours rolling over her eye socket, I guess.
There was something purple in the stars. They were staring down at us.
Damn it.
Oh no, is it bad?
No, it's fine. You just have the blessing of winter, I guess. I mean, I really hope that I was going to have the blessing of winter, but I guess the orcs will have to do without it. I guess it's really useful for you. And oh my god, I'm really sorry about your shoulder. And you kind of look at it and like there's a big like Demi handprint in your clothing where it's kind of singed a little.
Okay, why does that's gotta swell.
Sorry.
It's okay. You saved us from hitting frozen water, so I guess it's even. And I also stole your blessing.
No, don't worry. It's fine. I mean, Damaz has got it once, and I haven't. Well, I mean, we have to save the world, and I can maybe do it next year, unless I'm Grouch, in which case I'm definitely not going to do it next year. He doesn't really need that. I'll care about that. But that's cool. I mean, it's really well. I kind of half hoped that you would get it because, like, it would be really good for you.
Okay, can you explain what it means to be touched by winter?
Well, do you feel the cold? I mean, we're kind of laying on a lake. Do you feel cold?
I guess not.
Nope. And, well, I guess, it is dark, but, yeah, that's not going to be a problem.
Oh, shit, yeah. Where's my torch? It's up there somewhere.
Yeah, I think your torch is in your things. a little wet now, sorry.
I'm assuming that Squash, dropped the torch. Was it night when she picked me up?
Yeah.
Yeah, then Squash like dropped his teleport torch when she like threw them off the cliff. Does Squash have dark vision now?
Squash temporarily has dark vision. Squash temporarily has resistance to cold. And he temporarily has something else, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Demi puts her hand out to you and she says, okay, well, you may not be able to feel like cold so much anymore, but I guess.
Oh, yeah, you're probably freezing to death right now.
Still warm. Much cooler, but still warm.
Point. And Squash like gets his backpack off, which I'm assuming he jumped with, unless we're gonna walk up there and get it.
No, I mean you can say you took it with you. That's fine. I mean you wouldn't have had time to take your thing off because she literally grabbed your wrist and jumped. So
and he just makes sure that the box that I'm assuming that he like tied together so it wouldn't like after the swift nibbling kind of threw the bag.
Yeah, like it's very easy to check just by picking up your bag that everything is fine.
He just makes sure that the chest's still sealed. I'm assuming he like tied it together with leather.
Yeah.
And like, okay. Everything's good. Everything's actually better than good. Everything's great. This would have been very useful back when I was hanging out with this Rift Nublin. Or before that bitch Glen Gareth tried to freeze me to death.
As you kind of say that, you feel like a small, a soft, cold, wet thing hit you in the side of the head. Then you see Demi like looking up and like pretending to whistle.
Squash like touches his head, and I'm assuming he comes away with like snow.
Yes.
You bitch. And Squash like real quick like rolls into the ground, and as he's rolling, he comes up with what I assume is like half-baked snowball because he does not know how to do this. Probably seen snow once or twice in his life, and after that he was too old or high to actually care.
Yeah.
And he just chucks like a broken ball in her direction. Like, all right, gonna need some practice before.
Practice? You threw a snowball at me. And yeah, I assume they proceed to have the dumbest, childish snowball fight in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. At the end of the snowball fight, she takes you back to Felsum, and that's where we'll leave them.
You. Yes, you listening. Now, let me tell you this. If you leave 5 stars in the pod rating of your choice and a suitable amount of money in my bank vault, then you will have access to the very inner sanctum of the Church of Dachin. Would you like that? Of course you would. Now come along, run along. Let's see those reviews and that gold. Thank you.
A very quick thing at the end here. We want to thank our new patron, Leo Jeanson, and a big thank you to Ratstring, who gave us the name Kada. Bye.
Do you enjoy action?
Sending a bullet through the neck, and you see the headgear and the electrical equipment that seems to be weighing it down rolls the head forward as it tears from its body and falls to the floor, and this geek is done.
Horror?
Emaciated corpses which have had some kind of technology woven into them.
Along with some crazy and fun one-shots so you don't lose your mind.
Y'all want to make this a real hot boogie and just like throw my hand up? Disco ball shape of light, and it's just disco.
Then dig up Corpses and Curios wherever you find your podcasts.